What's up, y'all? Welcome to the No Ceilings NBA Draft Show here on the No Ceilings NBA YouTube channel. We are also on your podcast player of choice. I'm Stephen Gillaspie, and tonight I wanted to take just a little bit of your time to talk with you about my findings from the game between the Tennessee Volunteers and the Rice Owls. Yes, I know that this is not a heavyweight matchup in terms of draft conversations or team matchups, college basketball breakdowns, things of that nature, but there were still some things to take away. And to be honest with you, this Monday night slate was not it. I still wanted to get in. I still wanted to take some notes, get better as a scout and evaluator. And then, of course, wanted to share it with the No Ceilings universe. So tonight, I watched Nate Ament, and I'll be honest with you, he had a game where it was very in keeping with what we've seen from some of the bigger names within this class. What I mean by that is the first half didn't feel like he was really being felt on a consistent basis. However, he came on in the second half in keeping with what we just saw from AJ DeBansa in the UConn game and what we've seen from Cam Boozer in the game for between Duke and Texas. Nate Ament had his second half show out. But I want to talk about some of the things that I saw that are both the good and the concerning, the things that the areas of improvement, whatever vernacular or verbiage that we're going with nowadays to talk about the not so strong points of a prospect. So let's just go over the box score first. Nate Ament finished with 19 points, 10 rebounds, 3 steals, 1 assist. He was 6 of 13 from the floor, 0 4 from deep, and he also was just 7 of 9 from the free throw line. I say just, he was 7 of 9 from the free throw line. Now, those numbers, again, at face value, they seem pretty strong. But in the first half, there were just some areas of concern that I noticed with him. Okay, first off, the scoring just wasn't there. He wasn't hitting threes. He felt like he was kind of settling a bit too much. But that was really the only negative things that I saw from him within this game. Outside of that, he had himself a strong showing in terms of a passer. I was really impressed with his playmaking. He made some good entry passes. He kept the ball stringing along the perimeter. Just did a lot of really good things well, showing a more advanced read in terms of playmaking that I was expecting to see him have early on in the season. And then again, I know this is Rice. It's kind of a danged if you do, danged if you don't type thing when you play against the mid or low major as a school playing or as a top prospect playing in a school like Tennessee. But he did a good job defensively. There were moments where he was sliding his feet, staying in front of his man, walling off drives, things that just aren't going to count in like a stat sheet per se, but there were things that he was doing to close the doors on drivers. He is asked to. One thing that I think is really interesting that I noticed within this game against Rice from Tennessee is that Coach Barnes has made it a point of emphasis that Nate Ament is going to help off of his man as much as he can to make digs at the ball, to help make whoever has the ball in the paint and in the contested area of the floor to make them as uncomfortable as possible, with the idea obviously being that Nate Ament has the length and the recovery tools to get back to his man. For the most part, Nate Ament did a good job of recovering and his back to his man using his length and his stride to be able to get back and contest the shot, bother the shot, force misses. However, there were a couple of times where different players on Rice were able to shoot over the top of Nate, and it really just kind of showed that he's not the tippy top elite athlete within this class. I don't think that any of us expected him to be that coming in to the season and to the game in particular, even though he looks like he's gotten stronger from his high school film up until this current point at Tennessee. He's not an explosive athlete. And at his size and at his weightlifting, as he continues to add strength, I could see him being a little bit quicker out there on the court. But as it stands right now, still a very skilled player. Did a great job of rebounding too. He finished with 10 rebounds, and I felt like those were evenly distributed from the first half to the second half of the game. He didn't like really go off in terms of being a consistent rebounder in one half versus the other. The rebounding was there the entire night. I felt like the defense was there the entire night, but what really stood out is post halftime break, Nate Ament came out and really just did a lot of great things with the ball offensively. Now he came in, he attempted a step back three, drew a foul on the 3-point line. Because he is so long and talented, there is just this kind of necessary evil that the defense has to live with, was where they have to close out aggressively because of the length that Nate has. Now, if you overcommit and you're too aggressive on the closeout, you're going to get in his landing space and he's going to be able to get to the free throw line, which he did on a few occasions. He missed some threes, but again, was very consistent at being aggressive with the ball. Where there was one play where he drove baseline, went with the mid range pull up, missed. I think historically speaking, we would expect Nate Ament after a miss to kind of like halfway jog back and get into a defensive stance. Nope, he was aggressive. He went after the offensive rebound, got his own miss, put it back up, and converted for a shot. There was another moment just the next play where the offense had the possessions. Nate Ament gets the offensive rebound, hits Akpara in the paint for an assist. Just his ability throughout the entire night, really. I know that he's only credited with one assist, but I saw him move the ball a lot better than what that one assist would otherwise tell you. I felt confident in his decision making and his reads. He did string the ball along the perimeter quite a bit, but I do feel like he got the ball into the paint and was able to find the open man on the interior. Now, whether or not they converted, that's kind of up to the player. But Nate had a good game in terms of showcasing his vision and his playmaking ability. And then as the game went, we saw him draw more and more free throws. Again, 7 of 9, 9 free throw attempts for a player who is not the strongest frame, not the strongest build, but found his way to the free throw line consistently throughout the game. Found him in transition, hitting layups, uh, steal, and then into an and one, which was really his like exclamation point on the game, where he stole the ball as Rice was bringing it up. He went in, converted an and one layup, made the free throw, closed out his night. Pretty strong second half from Nate Ament. Now, where does this leave us? Well, the good is obviously there with Nate Ament. You don't find players of his size who can score as efficiently or as regularly as him. Now, I know he was 0 of 4 from the 3-point line tonight. That's going to feel like, to me, that's going to feel like more of an off night than it is a regular occurrence for him, because the shooting motion looks clean from him. We've seen what he looks like when things are firing on all cylinders. He looks like a legit scorer. The problems do come, though, with people who, like me, do value strength in a player. There were several moments throughout this game where, again, against Rice, this is not like the tippy top of college, athletes, but Rice was able to box him out, seal him out from driving lanes on a consistent basis. Now, he's only going to be able to get so much stronger over the next few months. So people like me who value strength, we're just going to have to kind of evaluate Nate Ament just kind of where he is. He's only going to get so much stronger. We can't knock him all season long and expect anything to change. But it is important to note that Rice was able to box him out, get rebounds pretty easily, even though he did have 10 rebounds. There were several instances where he was just kept out of the play in general because he just could not get past certain players on Rice. So there is that. There are a lot of times, too, where Nate gets the ball and he has to stop and survey and he's looking around a lot. I want to see that decision-making process kind of pick up as the season continues. I'm not expecting that to necessarily be fixed overnight, but come 5-6 more weeks into the season, I want to see him not have to stop, catch, and look at his surroundings to figure out what he wants to do with the ball. He should know upon the catch at a certain point this year whether or not I'm going up with the shot, whether or not I'm pump faking and driving, and then either scoring or passing, or if I just want to string the play along and relocate somewhere else on the floor so I can get a better look myself. Those are the types of things that I want to see Nate do better throughout the year. And that's actually something that he can do and should do as the season progresses. Overall, even though, again, I know this was against Rice, I like the process and what I'm seeing from Nate Ament more so than not. However, there are just enough areas of his game right now where I'm looking and I'm seeing and I'm wondering how I can rank him against some of the other players in this class, like a Caleb Wilson. Now, Koa Pete was a player who earlier in the season we all started to kind of fall in love with. He's since kind of fallen back down to earth as a freshman. The key is that no matter how you feel, no matter if you value one player higher than the other, you can only you can only take so much out of the early part of the season. These are all data points. These are not, you know, the kiss of death. These are not death sentences if they stink early in the season. These are just data points to see how they're trending as the season goes on. So that'll be something to monitor. Some other things I just want to kind of sprinkle in some overall thoughts from the game. Jacoby Gillespie is a very fun guard. I joke that he's my cousin because it's my last name just spelled a little bit different. But Jacoby Gillespie is a guard who I think has some game. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he is definitively an NBA talent. I do think that if he wants to go the G League route, there's going to be a home for him in the G League. If he wants to go overseas and play in Europe for a little bit, he'll probably look pretty daggum good. I don't know how high we can reasonably expect Jacoby Gillespie to get within draft conversations, especially this early in the season. But there were a lot of things to like. Jacoby had 17 points on 6 of 12 shooting, was 3 of 6 from deep, 2 of 4 from the free throw line, had 8 assists, 4 rebounds, a steal and a block, and 4 turnovers to boot. So there were some things that I liked from him. He is very audacious in terms of shooting and scoring, drawing contact. He does have good passing feel, and he does give a crap on the defensive end. He's not the biggest guard, though, so he's going to be kind of put in this bucket to where it's, are you a really good college guard, or are you potentially some sort of professional basketball player talent? I'm going to need to see a little bit more of him throughout the season, and I can't wait for Tennessee's non-con conference games to kind of pick up a little bit, or even just get into conference play. I want to see them against some real teams so I can evaluate guys like Jacoby, Ament. And then the last guy I want to talk about real quick is just Felix Okpara, a guy who we've talked about at No Ceilings for a while. He had 20 points, 8 of 10 from the floor, attempted a three-point shot, didn't make it, but he was 4-4 from the free throw line, had 8 boards, 2 assists, 5 boards came off the offensive end. Again, he might be a guy just like Jacoby to where it's like, maybe you have some stints because you are big, you do move well, you do have some offensive game to you, would like to see you be a little bit more defensively involved, but he just moves so well and is so big, makes a lot of good decisions on the floor to where it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world if we saw Felix play some little bit of time in the league, but he is not a guy right now that I don't think many people are prioritizing in terms of watch list or NBA potential. But again, just a guy to kind of monitor A through B throughout the season. Sometimes these upperclassmen big men can surprise you with their performance and how good they can possibly be and be evaluated. But that's all the time that I'm going to give on this breakdown. Again, I just wanted to get some Nate Ament thoughts out there. This is not a definitive evaluation of him, just some things that I saw, some good, some not so good, some building blocks for him to continue to get better as the season goes on. But I wanted to get this out there because we got to talk about as many of these guys as we can, and we got to take notes and we got to make these observations. But that's all the time that I'm going to give for this breakdown. This is not a podcast. This is just a reaction show. Please continue to follow us on No Ceilings, NBA.com. Follow us on the YouTube channel. If you're here, please like and subscribe. Help us build this No Ceilings universe. You guys have been awesome. Until next time, I'm Stephen Gillaspie, and I will catch up with y'all next time. Much love, y'all.